Now, for anybody looking for signs of what is really unfolding in the country called Kenya, you really don't have a difficult job. It's easy. And one of the emerging signs that has been there for months now, but is coming to the forefront again because it has started involving prominent, well-known public figures, is the fact that since the Ruto administration took over, there has been a mass exodus of people leaving the country. This is native Kenyans and also other investors who may not be Kenyan, but who had invested in Kenya, leaving the country in droves. Now. Is that a good sign or a bad sign? You see, we need to acknowledge something here. You know, there are people who have information. I'll give you a few examples. If you're a big investor in a very sensitive sector like petroleum, even before you entered the country, you had your people in Kenya, the country where you wanted to invest. You had your people with information. And therefore you use those people with information to come into the country, set up shop, start doing your business. And you continue to keep those people of yours close. Because they have their ear to the ground. You continue to keep them close so that you can continue operating in peace. So that at the first sign of trouble, you will not lose your money. By the way, that's how big, huge investors. Because investing in the petroleum industry is a serious thing. Si shilingi mbili. Okay? So those ones have been leaving the country. And I believe I've said this before in a previous video. The worst hit industry ni petroli. Now usually most of these kinds of investors don't employ huge amounts of people. But they employ people. A few people. Well-paid Kenyans. So those Kenyans, they're few, yes, but they're out of a job. Then count 4 or 5 investors out of the country. Let's say 100 jobs gone. Just like that. Okay, those are very few. You can hit back at me by saying, Chris, get serious. 100 jobs, that's nothing. We want to create 1 million jobs. The key words there are we want to create. It has not yet happened. And there's no sign of it happening. Because when people are leaving a building in large numbers, and then you start telling people, let's go to that building, we start an office. Let's go into that building, we start a business. And you, as you're coming into the building, you're noticing a lot of people leaving. Are you going to go into that building? Are you going to follow that person into that building, you start a business where many people are leaving? Even if you're the worst idiot ever born, are you going to do that? Of course not. In the same way, if Kenyans are losing jobs, even if they're very few, negligible, but you and me know that the number of Kenyans who have been out of a job is not negligible. Even huge firms are laying off people. But let's just assume for argument's sake, even if you're losing a few jobs, and then you come and start talking about you're going to create 1 million jobs, what you're saying is a joke. It's laughable. Kwenda waambia watoto wa standard 2 and try your luck, because you might not even be able to convince those ones, those youngsters. Youngsters are very sharp nowadays. We know. But the most worrying trend in recent days is the revelation that Uhuru Kenyatta, former president, is going to London with his entire family, allegedly on holiday. Okay? Now, of course, I don't dispute that. That's what the former president told us. However, let us also agree on one other thing. If you're Uhuru Kenyatta and you decided to relocate out of the country, at least temporarily, would you call a press conference to tell people? Think a little deeply about that one. And this holiday of the Kenyattas, we have not been told how long it's going to last. It could last a week. The former president has really missed quality time with his family. So it could last maybe 2 months. Indeed, it could last a year. Yeah, he's really missed his family. If I were him, I would go for holiday for a year. Why not? Especially now. But you see, the whole issue here is something called timing. When am I leaving for this holiday? I am leaving for this holiday when 1, 2, 3 has happened to me and my family. The timing, my friends. Okay? Because this holiday, people would have gone for it months ago. The former president left office almost a year ago. It's not yet a year, but we're almost there. So all these many months, they would have gone on holiday. But there's something else even more disturbing. Somebody leaked out their travel arrangements. Now, in case you didn't know, for somebody to leak out the travel arrangements of a Kenyan, that cannot be done by a small man. No! How? The only way it can be done is by somebody very high up, yani mkubwa, kwanza mtu ambaye ako Ikulu. That's the truth. So now we ask ourselves the question, why? Why would some powerful people in the UDA Kenya Kwanza government want to leak out travel arrangements of the former president? Now, I know you're not going to believe this, but it is now emerging, it's becoming very clear, that for us to understand the UDA Kenya Kwanza government, for us to be able to accurately analyze what they're doing and what they might do next, we need to reduce our level of mature thinking. I'm very serious about that. What would you say if I told you that the main objective here was to mock Uhuru Kenyatta and his family? Wanatoroka, they're running away from the country. Oh, we are so tough. We are very tough. We are a tough government. Former president is scared of us. Wow. How tough can people be? This is amazing. That kind of thinking. And if you doubt me, even for 1 minute, examine carefully the speeches that we've been hearing from the leading lights in UDA and Kenya Kwanza. What kind of speeches have they been treating Kenyans to? If you can allow me to use that English word in the wrong place. Treating. What speeches have they been treating us to? Oh, the money is finished, Uhuru took all of it. Or we are failing to deliver because of the handshake. Or we are failing to do this because of Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga and the handshake. Or we can't do this because of what was done by Uhuru Kenyatta. Etc., etc. You know those speeches. Now, let us just use logical thinking. Is that a mature way to address issues? Let us not even examine whether it is true or not. Let's not go that far. Is this a mature way of handling things? Actually, it is basic vengeful. You don't like some certain people, and therefore every time you open your mouth to speak, you will speak bad things about those people you don't like. Now, that is human nature. We humans behave like that all the time. Except that this time, the people who are talking like that are national leaders. People leading an entire country. What? So I hope you now understand where I'm coming from. If you want to analyze what Kenya Kwanza and UDA are doing, don't make it so complicated. It is very simple. Don't put it university level. Put it grade 1, grade 2, pre-unit there. You will understand perfectly what's going on. Indeed, one of our local dailies, a Kiswahili newspaper, had a very interesting headline. Yeah. The long and short of that headline is a government of clowns. That is really what it is. That is what we're seeing, isn't it? Please correct me if I've gotten it wrong. I am correctable. I like being corrected all the time. Please prove to me I'm wrong in that assessment. But let us move from Uhuru Kenyatta, former president, to another prominent Kenyan who has moved out of the country. Okay, they're also on holiday, allegedly. I'm of course referring to close ally of President Uhuru Kenyatta, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, Pauline Njoroge, who is now in Greece. Okay, we all know what happened to Pauline Njoroge just last week in Watamu, where she was arrested. They tried to plant things on her, it didn't work. Finally, she appeared in court. You remember the whole circus. I think that's what I can call it. Now Pauline Njoroge is out of the country. Now let us agree on one thing. Pauline Njoroge is very close to the former president, and therefore Pauline Njoroge has information that you and I do not have. They know things, many things, many things even Chris Kumekucha doesn't know, has no idea. Why has she decided to take that holiday, even if it was in her plans? Why has she decided to take that holiday now, at this particular time? I think now you begin to understand where I'm going with this. Kenyans are leaving the country. So the question is, why? Why are Kenyans leaving the country? Now, if I was a rude person, I would say that is not an intelligent question. It is obvious, isn't it? For you to be safe in the country called Kenya today, you must have precisely the same opinion that the UDA, Kenya Kwanza government, has. That President Ruto is an exceptional leader. He is a very brave leader. He is going to change Kenya. He is a transformational leader. Etc., etc. Now, if that is not your opinion, you're in danger. That is really what it is. So those people who would have a contrary opinion, it is wise for them to get out of the country for their own safety, because you don't know what's going to happen next. Okay? And that is precisely what very many Kenyans have done, and so many Kenyans continue to do. And that is not propaganda. That is nothing but the truth. And if you think for a minute that the powerful people wenye Kenya sahi are worried, you'd better get your head examined. They're not. Those people who've left the petroleum industry have been quickly replaced, by other local entrepreneurs. Let me just leave it at that. Local people have replaced them. And some of them are foreigners. So this is a good thing. Ama? What? Hii Kenya? Hii nchi ajabu kweli. And meanwhile, in government, the corruption and the eating that is going on, you don't even want to know. Okay? For instance, just today, I learned from an entrepreneur that a contract covering the Mombasa Road, close to the Nairobi CBD towards the Mombasa Road, a section of that road, the whole idea is to seal potholes. Let's just say to spruce up the road. I don't know the technical terms used for this kind of job, contract, but it is worth 100 million smackers, 100 million Kenya shillings. Now this entrepreneur was telling me that contract has been awarded to a university student. And guess what part of Kenya that university student comes from? Just guess. If you guess to Kambani, you are wrong. If you guessed Nyanza, you are wrong, but you're close to the place I'm referring to. I mean, this government is not hiding. What they're doing, they're not hiding. How many PSs in government hail from a community in the Rift Valley? How many? Just tell me. It's not a secret. There are many. And therefore, if you think for 1 minute that this government would be worried, Kenyans are leaving the country, investors are leaving the country, as I said, get your head examined. Because people are enjoying. You know, Usunini, if people want to leave, they can leave. Shauri yao. Yeah? In fact, it's better because they'll make space for the eating that is going on right now, even as I speak. And it is not a secret. They're not hiding it. It is open. Okay? That is Kenya for you. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.